From the very moment they entered the building, they knew that something was horribly foul about the place. And the wizard was particularly cautious, as he had smelled this awful before. Just not here. This corruption had never been so arrogant as to assume to follow him to his home. Or, as near to the tower as it would be willing to get, should it prove to be sentient. The other smell that accompanied this untold miasma was the far more familiar stench of death and rot and procedural necropsy. You can smell that all over the city if you go to the right places, or probably the wrong places. Eruk always makes new dead. A bit of meat and wine to grease the old whore back to a state of some presentability. But this was not death by fall, or violence, or injury. Not even illness, not in the conventional sense anyway. And then they found it, the source of all of their most stirring fears, and most concerning of all, not what they were expecting. Khanzel, having heard description of what was happening in the region, had all too quickly come to the conclusion that this was indeed the same red sporing menace from beyond the plane of our existence. And it was still entirely possible that that might indeed have something to do with this. But in the corner of the room they saw the body. She was thin, skin, corpse white, eyes bloodshot and wide open. Her entire abdomen and torso had been split open, and the ribs seemed to be poking out like they had been partially melted. In her hand she was clenching something, and it was hanging loose like a dead snake, or a strip of meat torn off of an animal and left it dangle upon some sharp strand of metal. It was a massive centipede, slimy and over the length of an Ashuri spear, and it had crawled out of her body while she was still partially alive. Then they heard the pitter-patter of far too many tiny, razor-sharp feet upstairs, and concluded that she was the proud mother of twins. Readying their crossbows and torches, they prepared to start cornering the rooms, the wizard, his locksmith, and their wee crossbow-wielding muscle.